Laughing Jack. It was a nice summer day. My 5-year-old son James was playing outside in the backyard of our suburban home. James has always been a quiet boy. He plays by himself mostly. He never had many friends, but he has always had a wild imagination. I was in the kitchen feeding our dog, Fido, when I heard what sounded like James talking to someone in the backyard. I'm not sure who it is he could be talking to. Could he have finally made a friend? Being a single mom, it's hard for me to always keep an eye on my son, so I decided to go outside and check on him. When I went to the backyard, I was a bit confused, because James was the only one back there. Was he talking to himself? I could have sworn I heard another voice. "James, it's time to come inside." I called out to him. He came inside and sat on the kitchen table. It was about lunchtime, so I decided to make him a turkey sandwich. "James, who are you talking to out there?" I asked. James looked up for a moment. "I was playing with a new friend," he said, smiling. I poured in some milk and continued to pry, as any good mother would. "Does your friend have a name?" "Why, didn't you ask him to have lunch with us?" I asked. James stared at me for a moment before replying. His name is Laughing Jack. I was a bit taken back by what he said. "Oh? That's a strange name. What does your friend look like?" I asked, a bit confused. "He's a clown, with long hair, and a big swirly cone nose. He got long arms and baggy pants, with stripy socks, and he always smiles." I realized what my son was talking about, an imaginary friend. I suppose it's normal for kids to have imaginary friends, especially when he has no real kids to play with. It's probably just a phase. The rest of the day went by as per usual, and it was starting to get late, so I put James to bed. I tucked him in and gave him a kiss to make sure to turn on his nightlight before I closed the door. I was pretty tired myself, so I decided to go to bed not long after. I had an awful nightmare. It was dark. I was in some kind of rundown amusement park. I was scared, running through the endless field of empty tents, broken down rides, and abandoned game huts. The whole place had a horrible look to it. Everything was black and white. The prize of animals all hung from their noses. In the game huts, all with sick grins stitched to their faces. It felt like the whole park was looking at me, even though there was another living thing in sight. Then suddenly, I began to hear music play. The sounds of "Pop Goes the Weasel" being played in a squeeze box echoed through the park. It was hypnotizing. I followed his tune to the circus tent, almost in a trance, unable to stop my legs from moving forward. It was pitch black. Only light that came was from a single spotlight shining down in the center of the big top. As I looked forward, the music slowed down. I found myself singing along, unable to stop. "All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey, though, 'twas in fun." The music stopped right before the climax. And suddenly, lights shot on. The intensity of lights was practically blinding. I could see it was a small, dark silhouette shuffles towards me. Then another one appeared, and another, and another. There was dozens of them all come towards me. I couldn't move. My legs were frozen. All I could do is watch as the haunted figures drew nearer. As they got closer, I could see they were children. As I looked at each one of them, I know that they were horribly disfigured and mutilated. Some had cuts all over their body. Others were severely burnt. The others were missing limbs, even eyes. The children enveloped me, clawing at my flesh, dragging me to the ground and tearing inside me. As the children tore me apart, I faded away. All I could hear was a awful, evil laughter. I woke up next morning in a cold sweat after taking a few deep breaths. I looked and saw a few of James' action figures was facing me on top of my nightstand. I sighed. James had probably woken up early and put these there. I gathered up the toys and made my way to James' room. However, when I opened the door, James was sound asleep. I shrugged and placed the toys back into his toy box and headed out to the living room. While later, James woke up and I made him his breakfast. He was quiet and seemed a bit groggy. Perhaps he didn't sleep well either. I decided to ask him about the toys. "James, honey, did you put the toys in Mommy's room this morning?" His eyes shut up at me for a moment, then quickly glanced back down at his cereal. "Laughing Jack did it." I rolled my eyes and responded, "Well, you tell Laughing Jack to keep the toys in your room." James nodded and finished up his breakfast, then decided to go play out in the backyard. I went to relax in the living room, and I must have dozed off, because when I woke up a couple hours later, shit, I need to go check on James. I was a bit worried. It had been 2 hours and I haven't checked on him. I went and stepped out in the backyard, but James wasn't there anymore. I was getting nervous, so I called him. "James! James, where are you?" Just when I heard a giggle come from the front yard, I rushed to the gate of front James' house. James was sitting on the sidewalk. I breathed a sigh of relief, and I walked over to him. "James, how many times have I told you to stay in the backyard?" "James, what are you eating?" James looked up at me, reached the pocket, and pulled out a handful of candies in all colors. This made me very nervous. "James, who gave you that candy?" James just stared at me, not speaking. "James, please tell Mommy where you got the candy." James hung his head down and said, "Laughing Jack gave it to me." My heart sunk. I kneeled down and looked him in the eyes. "James, I had enough of this damn Laughing Jack thing. He's not real." "Now, this is a very serious situation. I need you to know who gave you this candy." I could see my son's eyes tearing up. "But Mama," Laughing Jack did give me the candy. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. James had never lied to me, but what he told me is impossible. I made him spit out that candy and throw the rest away. James appeared to be fine. Maybe I'm just overreacting. After all I could have gotten from Tom and Linda from next door, or Mr. Walker down the street. Either way, I have to keep a closer eyes on James. That night, I put James to bed as usual. I decided to go to bed early myself. Suddenly, I was woke up by a long bang from the kitchen. I sprung out and hurried to the stairs. When I got to the kitchen, I was horrified. Everything on the counter had been thrown on the floor. Now dog Fido hung dead from the light fixture, his stomach cut open and stuffed with candy, the same type that James was eating earlier. My shock was quickly broken by a sharp scream coming from James' room, followed by loud crashes. I quickly grabbed a knife from the drawer and moved upstairs with the speed that only a mother whose child in danger could have. I burst to the door, and flicked on the lights. Everything in the room has been knocked over and tossed on the floor. My poor son on his bed crying, shaking with fear. A pool of urine staining the sheets. I scooped out my child and ran out of the house. Went next to Tom and Linda's house. Lucky they are still awake. They let me use their phone and I called the police. It didn't take them long to arrive. I explained what had happened. They looked at me as if I were crazy. They searched the house, but all they could find was a dead dog and 2 trashed rooms. The officer told me that someone probably had gotten into the house and done this right before making a quick escape. They heard me coming from upstairs. I knew this wasn't true. All the doors locked. None of the windows were open. Whatever in my house didn't come from outside. The next day, James stayed inside. I didn't want him to leave my sight. I went into the garage and found this old baby monitor set up in his room. If anything comes into his room tonight, I'll be able to hear it. I went to the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife I can in the drawer, and I put it on my nightstand. Imaginary friend or not, I'm not letting anything hurt my little boy. Soon enough, night came. I put James to bed. He was afraid, but I promised him I wasn't going to let anything happen to him. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and turned the nightlight on. Just before closing the door, I whispered to him, "Good night, James. I love you." I tried to stay up as long as I could, but after a few hours, I felt myself drifting off. My baby would be safe for the night. I decided to go to sleep. Just as I lay my head on a pillow, I heard a soft noise from the baby monitor I'd put on my nightstand. At first it sounded like interference, like the kind of radio it would make. Then I turned it and then it turned into a soft moan. Was James asleep? Then I heard it, the laugh of my nightmare, that horrible laugh. I sprung up from my bed, grabbed a knife under my pillow, and rushed to James. I creaked the door open. I tried the light switch, but it wouldn't come on. I took a step and I could feel the warm, thick liquid on my feet. Suddenly James' nightlight came on. I could see the absolute horror not laid out in front of me. James' body was nailed on the wall, nails piercing through his hands and feet. His chest was cut wide open like his organs hung out from the floor. His eyes and tongue had been removed along with his teeth. I was disgusted. I couldn't believe this was my baby boy. Then I heard it again, a soft, desperate moan. James was still alive. My baby, my poor baby, in so much pain, barely clinging to life. I ran from the room and vomited on the floor, but my sickness was interrupted by a horrible cackle coming from behind me. I sprung around, still wiping Bill from my mouth. Then, out from the shadows, emerged a fiend responsible for all this horror, Laughing Jack. His ghost white skin matted black hair down to his shoulders. He had piercing white eyes. Surrounded by black rings. His twisted smile revealed a row of sharp, jagged teeth, and his skin didn't look like skin at all. It almost looked like rubber or plastic. He wore a patchy black and white clown outfit, stripped with sleeved and socks. His body itself was a grotesque, his long arms hanging down his waist, and the way he positioned himself almost made it look boneless, like a rag doll. He let out a sickening laugh, as if to let me know he was pleased by my reaction to this work. He then turned around, slowly in front of James, and began to laugh even more with the horrific sight. He was laid out. That was enough to shake me from my terror. I snapped, "Get away from him, you bastard!" I rushed at the monster, raising the knife towards above my head. I stared down at him and stabbed him. But as soon as the knife touched him, he disappeared in the black smoke. The knife had placed right through and pierced James' still beating heart. Splashed the warm blood on my face. No, what have I done? My baby! I killed my baby! I immediately fell down to my knees. I could hear the sirens in the distance growing louder. My sweet baby boy. I promised Mommy would protect you, but I failed. I'm sorry, James. I'm so sorry. Police soon arrived to find me in front of my son, wielding a knife covered in my baby's blood. The trial was short. Instantly, I was placed into a house for criminally insane people, where I have been for the last 2 months. It's not so bad there. The only reason I'm awake now is because someone is playing Pop Goes a Weasel outside my window. I'll talk to the oilies about it in the morning. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that creepypasta. Sorry about my lack of videos. Remember, clowns suck. But anyways, hope you have a nice day. Hope you have a nice time. Peace out. Fearfist. Bye.
All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought 'twas all in fun. Pop goes the weasel. Jimmy's got the whooping cough, and Jimmy's got the measles. 'Twas the way the story goes. Pop goes the weasel.